Welcome back, everyone. We're gonna talk about slicer, as I mentioned in the previous, towards the end of last lesson. What's the purpose of slicer? The purpose of slicer is to give the power over to your reader who is reading your report to slice and cut and select the data that they are interested to zoom in. Okay, so that's really the purpose of slicer. So come over here, this icon here, it will have that pop-up saying that this is a slicer. I made the mistake. What mistake did I make? My mistake was that I selected this chart when I actually select the slicer. When you do that, it will change your existing chart to the new visuals that you've selected. So fear not, we just need to undo that action. And before we select the slicer again, let's click outside so that none of the visuals are selected. Now click slicer again, and then it will actually appear like so. Let's select year as the slice that we want to actually use, and you have this so-called sliding option from beginning to the end. So that gives you the option of 2015 to 2018, and as you actually select this, notice this, all the other visuals get changed at the same time. That's one option. Let me just minimize this. Okay, let's add another slicer, but this time year again. I just want to show you, the reason I'm doing this is to show you that there are a few other options to choose from. Of course, this is from the beginning, from year to year option. If you select this chevron here, notice that there are other options available to you. You can choose list, you can choose drop down. So I wanted to actually choose list, which will look like this, and changes. Right now this is actually between. Okay, so this is the comparison between the two. If you click 2013, the year 2013, notice that when I choose this, it doesn't affect this. Okay, so but this becomes the dominant, and it actually impact on all the other charts here. If I want to choose more than 1 year, I have to, on my keyboard, hold down the control button and select the year that I want to actually view. In this case, I've selected 4 years, 2013 to 2016. Of course, I can jump and select 2019 as well. And this is the beauty of having the list option that we've chosen here. So that's this list option here. Now let's come over here to format subpane, and under general we can actually change our orientation. Okay, right now it's vertical. We can choose to horizontal, and you'll have it in this so-called square or block format. Okay, and this is probably a bit nicer way to actually present it. If I want to just minimize this a little bit, and again, this is very similar to this, or very similar to what we had before. I can choose 2018. I can also choose 2014, 2 years concurrently at the same time. Now, if I don't want to allow the user to have the option of selecting multiple years, I can come to selection controls here and change it to single select. That means the user can only select 1 year at a time. Okay, so you can also unselect that. That gives all the other options available. So right now, if I want to select everything, I need to click, or 9 years. You can also give them this option, select all. That makes it a bit easier and friendly and not so nasty to your user as well. And one last thing is that we want to actually magnify this. We can actually increase the font size, and that increase that font size there so that it makes it a little bit more visible. Okay, so that's the one key part to allow the the so-called user of your report to be able to see all of that. Now the questions that I want to pose to you is that under what circumstances would you want your user to select year only instead of allowing them to select multiple years? That's a food for thought. There will be other situations whereby you will actually would want to actually give that options as well. So this is for you to actually have a choice to think about that. Let's continue on with the slicer theme. This time around, rather than using year, we've changed the choice a little bit. Remember, when you choose slicer, make sure that none of these visual has been selected. So we've selected an empty area, selected the slicer. This time around, rather than year, I want to bring in date. And notice that the option now is actually dates rather than year. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of choice now. Okay. Come over here to the view subpane, the date subpane, and what you have here is that the selection and the option is actually in the date format, which is exactly what we want. So instead of having the date hierarchy, so what you have instead is the date. So this is to actually make sure that it is exactly the way that you want it to be. Now coming here, we want to actually change to between, which is actually what the default options are. And you can have the option of removing the slice header as well. And that gives your user the option of choosing more granular details now, rather than selecting by year. You can actually allow them to select down to the details of May 17th. So that is substantially more flexible in relatively. So here we select all, and that will do that. Now you can actually drag this, and you can even drag it all the way to, well, 6 months or even lesser as well. And that basically allows you to actually have that visualization. And that's the difference between having the year as the slicer versus the date as the slicer. Having that option once again gives the power to your user. Of course, that's assuming there is actually a business case for that. On that, we are going to stop, but before we go, we just want to tidy up this a little bit. We don't really need these two competing here, so let's just remove that. Having this year is sufficient, so let's just drag that up here. And this, we can actually minimize this a little bit and drag this along. And just expand that a little bit. Alternatively, there is actually a they've removed the okay. Yep, so you can actually drag that out as well. So what you have now is this. So if you have selected 2017, you can always clear the selection by using this eraser option here. So this is pretty much how we would like it to be for now. When we come back, we will add a few more visuals to round up this report that we want to present. Thank you for watching.